Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest cryptocurrency channel on all the interwebs. My name is TJ, and I'll be your host for today's episode of Around the Blockchain. We're joined by some of your favorite people and personalities from around the crypto sphere, where every day at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we come to you live from Atlanta, Georgia, to cover the top trending crypto topics of the day and answer your most frequently asked questions. I'm joined here today by yours truly, Ben Armstrong from BitBoy Crypto, Ian Balina of Token Metrics, TheBlockChainBoy, and Kevin from Bitcoin for Beginners. Real quick, guys, I want to go around giving just a couple sentences, who you are, what your channel is, and what it is you like to talk about, or what you're most passionate about sharing on your channel. Let's start with you, Ian.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm Ian Balina, founder and CEO of Token Metrics. We're a cryptocurrency investment research company. We help crypto investors become smarter investors using machine learning, data, and AI. And our job is to help find the next 100x altcoins. And we do that through data. We also make videos on our channel, Token Metrics.
Perfect. Blockchain Boy, what about you?
Hey everybody, my name is Lucas Demos, also known as the Blockchain Boy. I have a TikTok channel where I talk about, crypto investing, focusing mainly on altcoins and calling out scammers. I'm also the founder of CryptoNight.io, the up-and-coming trading bot. So you'll stay tuned to hear about that. I'm sure you'll be excited.
Nice. And then Kevin?
Hey guys, I'm Kevin from Bitcoin for Beginners, or BFB. I love making deep content, diving into various projects, various topics, and looking at both sides, I guess, the pros and cons. That's the content I like to make, and you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/BitcoinForBeginners.
Beautiful. And as always, Ben Armstrong of BitBoy Crypto. We come to you live several times a day, so I think you guys know who we are. Today, we're going to be jumping in and talking about the future of cryptocurrency, kind of the new generation. We've got some TikTokers here. Ben, you've got one of the largest TikTok accounts, so I know you know a lot about what's going on TikTok, Blockchain Guy. You do a lot with the kind of the new generation, kind of the younger audience, kind of what they're eyeing, and I know, Ian, you're always looking for those low-cap gems, so it's going to be fun talking about that. We're also going to be getting into a little bit of the Bitcoin scarcity that we're seeing going on right now. We saw a report that Coinbase sold 12,000 Bitcoin in just 1 hour. So what's going to start to happen as that scarcity starts to set in and the institutional FOMO really starts to take hold when they want to buy these Bitcoins and they're literally being told they can't. A lot of people with a lot of money don't like to be told, no, you can't buy something with your own money, as we know. And then finally, Bitcoin dominance is sliding. We're seeing Ethereum eat more of that up, and some of these lower cap alts exploding, getting 10x, 20x, sometimes even 100x gains. So how low do we think the Bitcoin dominance will go in this cycle? What are some low cap gems that we think will have a chance to 100x in this cycle? And how can we see people change their lives? So Ben, let's get started with you. 2.6, I think, million followers on TikTok. Yep. Largest cryptocurrency YouTube channel, also largest cryptocurrency TikTok channel. What are some of the trends and coins and things you're seeing on TikTok that gets the younger generation excited?
Other than SafeMoon?
Oh, real quick, I also forgot to mention we're going to be scoring everybody. So for those in the audience, if you like what you hear from any of these guests, if you want to see them back on again, smash the like button when they're on the screen. Also, if you want me to give them a +1 point, just drop a +1 in the chat. If you don't like what they're saying, drop a -1 in the chat, and I'll take a point away. Whoever has the most points at the end of this session will get 30 seconds to leave a parting thought with the audience and say whatever they think is most important. So without any further ado, Ben, take it away.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that after I said SafeMoon, because then they would have given me a negative, and I don't want that. I do think the interesting thing on TikTok is trying to find that balance between people that are on there trying to shill like literal scams, and then things that are kind of like what we in crypto think are like dead projects, but still have some life because they're community-based. Such as Dogecoin and, some other ones as well. But I think the one I'm really watching, and I bought 6 figures, I bought $120,000 worth of Ethereum Classic last night because I'm very curious to see if Ethereum Classic will kind of become the next Dogecoin. It's a project that we've talked a lot about on my channel, which is, is the original Ethereum chain. Not a lot of development, or basically no development going on with it. But it's on Robinhood. It's a lower price than Ethereum. So kind of like people look at the price of Dogecoin and they're like, oh, this is going to be really good because it can go up to, what if it got to as high as the price of Bitcoin? Those people don't understand, obviously, the fundamentals. They don't understand the tokenomics of supply and circulating supply and stuff like that. What's really interesting about Ethereum Classic is it's on Robinhood, so it's very easily accessible for Generation Z, the people that are buying these kind of coins. But the difference between the price of Ethereum Classic and Ethereum is something that I know the noob investor is going to look at and say, what if Ethereum Classic can get to where Ethereum is? And so this could be the next one, I think, a hot altcoin that you'll be seeing pumping. And look, I could be wrong. Maybe we don't see it, but I would rather be kind of hedged with a pretty big chunk of Ethereum Classic in case it goes on a Dogecoin-like run, because I do think that people are going to take profits from Dogecoin this weekend. I know we already took some. We actually sold half of our Dogecoin this morning. And so this is something that we are watching to see what the next one's going to be. And I think Ethereum Classic has got all of the hallmarks of something that Generation Z would like to pump.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the not being able to withdraw your crypto from Robinhood also plays a factor in there, because basically if you're into trading crypto on Robinhood, you've got a lot of profits. Your only option is withdraw it to cash, or like you said, move it into something that you perceive to be another low cap coin that you think could pump, or cheap coin like Ethereum Classic. So BlockChainBoy, what kind of trends in coins are you seeing that you think that kind of gets you interested?
I've got to agree with Ben here. I think that TikTok is fundamentally at this point fueled entirely off of coins trying to be the next SafeMoon. I despise SafeMoon. I have no respect for Ethereum Classic personally. I actually go against the grain here because I refuse to talk about projects that don't have good fundamentals. So you won't see me talking about the next SafeMoon or the next Dogecoin, but I can tell you my comment section has filled up with Ethereum Classic comments. But I'm not going to recommend it. I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't have use case, even if it can be profitable, I tend to not talk about it because I'm only about creating specific videos dedicated to actual good projects. That being said, we've seen that doesn't matter right now. We're in the era of just absolute crap.
Yeah, no, it's speculation-driven market right now. So, Kevin from Bitcoin from Beginners, obviously you deal with a lot of beginners, a lot of people new to crypto, new to investing. What kind of conversations, what questions, what coins do they usually bring up first, and kind of what are you seeing as their perception?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are buying SafeMoon, asking how to buy any of those clones, and that's what I'm noticing on like TikTok or similar kind of social avenues too. It's like it's first was Dogecoin, and then SafeMoon, and then there's like Safe Mars, Elongate, Shiba, Akita. Like it's crazy. There's so many things out there. Yeah, exactly. And I don't like any of them because it takes literally 5 minutes to fork. And then you can make a new meme name, and then you can post it on Twitter or Reddit and get people to pump it, right? So and I want to warn people to be a little bit careful because I've seen some of those smart contracts not let you sell. Like they literally wrote in the smart contract inability to sell. And so people just ape into it and they go crazy, but then they're like, oh, I made so much money. They try to sell and it won't let them. They're like, oh, crap. Yeah. So that's my take. That's why I tell people that SafeMoon's not worth it, even though people were telling me to buy it myself like weeks ago.
Yeah, great points. Ian, what are your thoughts?
First of all, I don't really follow TikTok altcoins. Our job is to find real altcoins with real fundamentals that will be around for the next 5 years. But if I had to pick one, I would say, honestly, I would agree with Ethereum Classic. Because first of all, as BitBoy mentioned, it has the same name as Ethereum. And I feel like beginners would, one, mainly trade on projects on Robinhood, because there's a lot more liquidity, a lot more brand awareness. And then two, there are some fundamentals behind Ethereum Classic. First of all, Grayscale Trust already has an Ethereum Classic Trust. And this has, I believe, almost $500 million AUM. So the fact that there's some institutional people backing it, and it's on Robinhood, and it has the same name as Ethereum, I feel beginners will look at this as having some kind of fundamentals compared to SafeMoon and other assets. And this having more liquidity will cause this project to basically get more beginners involved.
Yeah, no, great answer. And I'm going to actually stay with you to lead off this next question because of what you guys do with the fundamental research of strong, fundamental, technical, progressing coins that maybe haven't necessarily pumped yet, lower cap coins that have a lot of potential. We get this question from the audience all the time. what are some of the low capper zappers, so to speak, that you've got your eye on that you think maybe haven't pumped yet but have a good lot of potential in the future?
Great question. So one project I like is Liquidity. This is, in my opinion, the next MakerDAO, except this is owned by the community. Very low market cap, under 20 million. But the reason why I like this lets you leverage Ethereum as collateral to borrow against this. Why is this important? Because during this market cycle, as people are going to the moon and beyond, you can not have a taxable event by having to sell your Ethereum. You can borrow against it and not pay any interest rate. Just think about that. Being able to liquidate, for example, $1 million, get $500,000 back in stablecoin, paying 0% interest rate. So if you want to buy a Lambo, put a mortgage, put down a payment on a mortgage, not selling your Ethereum, because Ethereum, in my opinion, is the next Bitcoin. Ethereum will flip Bitcoin eventually. So the last thing you want to do is sell Ethereum. So being able to borrow against your Ethereum without selling it with 0% interest rate, this is a game changer. Backed by great VCs, Alameda Research, and other big names. I also like Integral Finance. This is a DEX that's meant to be more capital efficient, similar to Uniswap, but more capital efficient. And this is changing the game because one, great investors backing it from Polychain and others, but this lets the community earn the fees being earned. So they launched this month. I'm an investor in both of these projects, but this is giving the fees back to the community. So all the fees go to the token holders. So they're trying to break the model of having VCs and founders get the value accrual of the project, and now all the rewards will be going to the community, and over 40% of their tokens will be going to farmers.
That's really cool. And what are the tickers on those?
Integral is ITG something, I believe. Liquidity is LQTY. One last one I like is called Armor Finance. This is a project that is basically giving insurance in DeFi. They're paying you to get insurance on your cryptocurrency. We know DeFi is blowing up, over $100 billion locked up in DeFi. What if I told you you could get security, insurance on your entire ERC20 wallet, all those tokens you have in DeFi, getting insurance and paying you? For example, I share with my audience, I've been paid over 20 grand to get insurance and protecting myself versus any downside risk in crypto. So to me, this is a no-brainer because Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time, says, when you invest, you want to have a margin for error. And if you can find projects with good code, good backers, but that also pay you to hold them, to me, it's a win-win.
Yeah, that's great. So, Blockchain Boy, you mentioned you only like talking about projects that have good fundamentals that you really believe in. What are some of the ones that you like that you're kind of eyeing over the next short term, like for the rest of this cycle, so to speak?
So for the rest of the cycle, a lot of the coins I'm already in have done numbers. My audience knows VeChain and Matic are two of my biggest bags.
Yep.
And so going off of those, I think Harmony One is something to look at. I know it's already been relatively pumped, but I still think that one's going to do well. As far as supply chain goes, because that's really my favorite, I guess, application of blockchain tech right now, because I think it's the thing that can be integrated the fastest. In the shortest amount of time. I'm looking specifically at Origin Trail, a project I've been in for quite a while. I've talked with the team, even when I was a nobody. And as well, T-Food, which is actually being used for COVID vaccine certificates and is already being used by, I think, over 6,000 companies right now. So supply chain, Ethereum scalability, those are the two things that I'm really, really looking forward to right now. And I've also got some projects coming up that aren't even listed yet, but we'll see how those go. But personally, I think the supply chain stuff is super undervalued right now, given that I think it will be the first real use application of blockchain tech. That's my 2 cents.
No, it's interesting that you say that. We're hearing a lot of the pros and a lot of the experienced people in the crypto space leaning towards VeChain and supply chain type projects, like you mentioned, as being like, obviously payments is a very obvious, use case for Bitcoin. But I feel like a lot of people that have kind of seen some things feel that supply chain is the next best use case for it, and like you said, the easiest and most obvious to quickly implement. So it'll be interesting. Some of those other ones will be interesting to look into because there's not a lot of competition for VeChain currently. They've got a huge first mover advantage. So some of these other ones, like you said, haven't really made those big moves yet. Those are probably really good ones to keep your eye on. So Kevin, what are some of the ones you're looking at, or what do you advise for like beginners to get started, and then a little bit once you're kind of in the intermediate level, where do you kind of point people?
Yeah, I mean, beginners is just stick to the big ones, right? Like Bitcoin, Ethereum, dollar cost average, that kind of stuff. Personally, for me, I have been really interested in the DeFi space and mostly have mid caps like Ampleforth, Uni, things like that. But some of the smaller ones, since that's the topic of this, three in particular. One is Index. They make DeFi Pulse Index, Metaverse Index. It's just like the S&P 500 before the crypto space for that particular niche per se. Really big fan of that one. And then Injective, they do like tokenized stocks protocol, kind of trading those on the blockchain. Have a little bit of that. And then last one is NFTX, which is just my way to get a little bit of exposure in the NFT space, since they let you buy like indices on CryptoPunks, or like just instead of buying a whole CryptoPunk, which costs a lot, people don't want to do that necessarily. You can still get some exposure through their product. So those three are my personal DeFi plays.
Nice. And then Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, well, speaking of NFTs, I mean, I still love Eternity. I mean, it's in our top 15 holdings. Eternity has now fallen all the way from getting, close to the top 100, or at least around 150. It's fallen all the way down. It's in the middle of the 300s now. And, we know, because I've talked to the team, and we're invested in that one since the seed round or the private round. I don't know what round we were in, but we were invested in that one. And their vesting schedule was very quick. So what that means is that all of the tokens that went to the private investors, they are now out there. And so the selling pressure was pushing it down for so long, and we've seen now it's finally hit a bottom, and it looks like it's going to be going back up. They've got a Pele release coming this weekend for NFTs, and we know, because we're on the back end working with professional sports teams, professional leagues. We're looking at athletes, celebrities. We're having a lot of conversations about NFTs. And so we see the level to which these different NFT projects are running. Eternity is bar none one of the top ones, period. And so we really believe this is going to be one down the road that's going to do absolutely incredible. And just kind of looking down CoinMarketCap, it's amazing when you look at some of these projects, like where they're at. Ren coming in at number 105. It's not even a top 100 project. Wow. We know Ren is a very solid project. So much upside to that one. It is just barely sitting at 1 billion market cap. It's on Coinbase. And then, of course, I gotta plug, some of our partners here. Cartesi is another one that I think is somewhere down in the 300s. Just got announced it was going on Coinbase, along with a few other projects. But Cartesi, if you like Polygon and Matic, if that's one that you love, Cartesi is in that same vein. Doesn't do exactly the same thing, but it's an ETH Layer 2 solution, and we've seen big things ever since we partnered with them. And then another one, just to kind of talk about another project that we work very close with, OneChain. It's an old project. It's been around forever. They're really getting into the DeFi space and the interoperability space. Well, they've been in interoperability. Now they're moving more towards DeFi. They're working with XRP on some stuff, which may be a bad word to some people, but I think OneChain is definitely another one to watch.
Yeah, that's great, and we're getting a lot of OneChain in the chat, and then another one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Cosmos is another one they're mentioning a lot in the chat. That a lot of people
wow, I love Cosmos. I want to work with Cosmos. Where are they at? Cosmos. I want to be on your team.
Another great interoperability project. So we'll jump back to Ian here on this question, since I know you're deep in the research. We've been seeing a lot of exchange outflows lately of Bitcoin getting bought up or being withdrawn from exchanges. Coinbase's supply is shrinking by the day. How do you think that's going to affect the market? Do you think it's going to get to where people really can't get their hands on this Bitcoin and FOMO really starts to set in towards the end of this cycle, or how do you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, first of all, we expect Bitcoin to keep on going up. Our price target for Bitcoin is minimum 80K, and we think Bitcoin could go over 100K and possibly up to 130K. So by default, we think institutions will come into the space, because at this point, if you aren't in Bitcoin, you basically you could possibly lose your job as a hedge fund manager on Wall Street.
And
right?
do you have a time frame for that 130K?
So honestly, we think Bitcoin will be going up on the long term, but I would say probably around Q4. When it comes to Halloween, around October, so we would expect some kind of correction. So by then, if you haven't taken profits, probably a good time to take profits. But people who follow me know, even though I think Bitcoin is great, I think Bitcoin is actually toast, because we joke that we're Ethereum maximalists, because institutions this summer are aping into Ethereum.
They are.
First of all, with the London hard fork, this is going to make Ethereum even more deflationary than Bitcoin, right? And institutions are catching onto this. So while Bitcoin is going up, the real trade that I think could change the whole crypto world is Ethereum. Ethereum is becoming ultrasound money. The way we view this is this. Think of the dot-com era as Web 1. You basically had Google, you had Amazon, you had eBay. All these companies really were the first iteration of the internet. Then you had Web 2, social media, connecting people together. You had YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Web 3 is the crypto world, blockchain. And Web 3 is being built on Ethereum. Ethereum has 10 times more monthly active developers than Bitcoin. Ethereum is going to become even more deflationary than Bitcoin. And Ethereum is still undervalued versus Bitcoin. So for us, we're very bullish on the long tail of crypto, which is cryptocurrencies and altcoins. And while Bitcoin had first mover advantage, we think eventually long term, Ethereum will hit Bitcoin. And we're seeing institutions, if you go and check the on-chain data, institutions are flowing into Ethereum from NFTs to DeFi. This is a race we think Ethereum will win out long term. So while Bitcoin will be going up, we're even more optimistic over Ethereum, especially when you factor this in. As many times as people say Bitcoin has done well in the last 12 months, you would have made twice as much money holding Ethereum in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And it's still undervalued.
Yeah, great point. Great points all the way around. I'm pretty sure I saw right before I walked onto this that VanEck has actually filed for an Ethereum ETF as of today.
Oh, wow.
So that
Nice.
institution's trying to get their hands on it, like you talked about, is definitely setting in. So, Kevin, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's super bullish what you were saying about Bitcoin flowing off of Coinbase. That's a super bullish sign. It's not available on the exchanges to be sold, right? That's
Right.
what we saw last cycle when near the peak there was a lot of flowing in to exchanges, if I'm not mistaken. And so when that starts to happen, we might think that we're near a top this cycle potentially. But personally, in terms of Bitcoin's price, I am pretty bullish on it. I think the peak may go over 200K, 200 to 300K, just based on like various like models, that on-chain models and whatnot.
Sure.
And of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on all those different metrics that people show from Glassnode or like Willy Woo talks about, keeping an eye on those metrics. But personally, I think we might have a double peak like we did not last cycle, but the cycle before, which will be kind of scary if you think about it, because it's going to go up, maybe go to like 150 or 180 or something, and then drop down massively, and we'll be like, oh, dang, it's over. Like get back down to 50K from there, and then it'll rocket back up to 300K. That's going to like cause a lot of problem for traders and people who sell too early or whatnot. But I love both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Big fan of both. I think they're really different. Like Bitcoin is chill. It's the hardest money ever created.
Yep.
That's all it needs to be. And Ethereum is building amazing applications on top. So I love both. I hold other coins to make speculative gains. But in terms of my two favorite that I think are the most elegant and beautiful would definitely be Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, great points. And then, Ben, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm pretty elegant and beautiful myself. So
We know you
I
think
guess
that.
you could call me the combination of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Well, I mean, I love the story about Coinbase. Honestly, it made me go long on Bitcoin this morning, because if you just think about how much money is coming into this, it's unbelievable. I'm also with Ian, though. I think eventually Ethereum is going to overtake Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin is store of value. It just doesn't do much. What you're looking at with Ethereum, with trying to bring in the derivatives market, I think eventually it could actually overtake Bitcoin. Interesting. Let's see. So if you look at Ethereum right now, it's coming in at a $400 billion market cap. You got Bitcoin just shy of a $1.1 trillion market cap. Ethereum is actually much closer to Bitcoin percentage-wise than Binance Coin is to Ethereum. So, everybody's always talking about what's going to pass, Binance Coin can pass Ethereum, or, whatever can. But, there's Dogecoin nipping right on Binance Coin's heels too. But the point is, Ethereum and Bitcoin are much closer than a lot of people, want to admit. But, kind of our perspective as far as the question of hodl or dump during the bear market, we are going to have some percentage that we set aside, but, definitely going to be selling for some profits. And we do believe there will be a bear market for sure.
And then what are your thoughts, Blockchain Boy, about this liquidity squeeze?
So I think we're going to see a lot of what happened last cycle when it comes to that buying pressure. And I actually agree. I'm somewhere in the middle between Ian and Kevin, because I think really Bitcoin will hit six figures this year. My target personally, I think at least 130, probably 160. If we get a super cycle event and Bitcoin has a double top market like 2 cycles ago, well, that's going to make me very happy. That's one reason why I have long-term positions, and I think it's important for every investor to have their long and short-term positions. As we see the market go more and more parabolic and we see the price of Bitcoin being squeezed due to scarce liquidity, I think that's going to be massively profitable, especially for the altcoins. I hold most of my portfolio in altcoins right now, except for the Bitcoin I have sitting in my hardware wallet that no one will ever know where that is.
Nice.
Personally, I'm going to be liquidating probably 90% of my altcoin portfolio as they reach my targets, and then I'll be flipping that directly into Bitcoin or Ethereum, specifically Ethereum, much for the reasons that Kevin and Ian are saying, because Ethereum, I think there's too much being built on Ethereum for it to fail now. And with the current scalability solutions, I think even if Ethereum 2.0 never came out, Ethereum still has that network. Like, I don't trade Binance Smart Chain unless I absolutely have to. I'd rather just use Ethereum personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. We feel the same way. Like, we use it if we have to, but we're so used to using Ethereum at this point. It's so much easier. So, and it's also interesting to me. We've got the two on the right looking at 150-ish, maybe like 130 to 150K Bitcoin. 2 on the left saying 200 to 300K Bitcoin this cycle. So it'll be interesting. I feel like no matter what, we'll all be happy.
Yeah, that's true, because, look, if we have a double top and it tops at 160K, not a true double top, but we have 2 peaks, guys, if it hits 160K, and we take profits there, we all still going to be happy. Maybe not the newer investors who come in, but, do y'all just think stock to flow is not legit? That's my thing. When I hear those lower price numbers, I'm like, you look at stock to flow, it seems to point to a 300K Bitcoin. So I guess that means if you don't subscribe to that theory, you just don't think stock to flow is legit, but I think it's proven its value.
Yeah, well, speaking of stock to flow, that looks at the data points and kind of the history over time, and that actually leads us to the next question, which is, last cycle we saw the Bitcoin dominance drop to, I think it was around 33, 35%, something like that. I think it was 33. Yeah, we were talking about it this morning. Some people are asking, do they think the dominance will drop even further? Or does it hold a little bit better? So how low do you think the Bitcoin dominance will go? And then if we do see a bear market, how much do you think it'll recover? Where do you see the future of Bitcoin dominance? We'll start with Ian, because I have a pretty good idea of what you're going to say based on your previous comments.
1%.
1%. Wow.
I'm kidding. Well, not the super cycle, but long term, yes. I know it seems like hearsay, but I think historically, Bitcoin dominance can drop as low as 30%, right? Especially because just think about this. Bitcoin had first mover advantage. Every single day, every single week, you have new altcoins launching, from Polkadot to Cosmos to all these new projects, SushiSwap, and they're eating market cap from Bitcoin. Sure. So Bitcoin, long term, its market cap is going to decrease. And I think all these new cryptocurrencies have more upside. So by default, by the long tail, Bitcoin will have to lose market cap. I think it goes as low as 30%. Long term, I think Bitcoin will become just a stable coin just on Ethereum, because everything being done on Bitcoin is a store of value. Bitcoin is digital gold. That can be built on Ethereum or any other blockchain in the future, whether it's Cardano, Polkadot, and I think they'll end up sucking value from Bitcoin because there's just more innovation happening on those blockchains.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's interesting. I've been hearing a lot of people calling Ethereum Bitcoin's layer 2 solution. So, blockchain guy, what are your thoughts?
Personally, coming from a younger investor's perspective, nobody on TikTok is getting hyped about Bitcoin. People feel like they've missed the boat. In many ways, I feel like they might have, indeed missed the boat in that initial run up, even from 2017 to now. That's not what gets them excited. If we're putting aside meme coins for the time being, they really, really want small projects that are launching either Binance Smart Chain, God forbid, or whatever it's on, they want to get in. They as much as I hate to say it, they want to see the next Bitcoin, and I think that's going to be a trend that continues to play out here as we go through the bear market or the bull market. Sorry, and I think Bitcoin dominance could even hit high to mid 20s. As we see sort of the very final wave, because ultimately I think the altcoins is where everyone's looking. Everyone uses Bitcoin, but as a medium of exchange, and even now you have better options, even like Ethereum or Binance Coin. Like those are better options to trade with. So I have to agree with Ian. It will become a store of value, but I don't think we can discount Bitcoin entirely, because I think ultimately, as we see more global instability in the 2020s and 2030s, Bitcoin will be an attractive hedge against unstable government currencies.
Great answer. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, both of y'all made great points. I think the high 20s, low 30s seems like a reasonable range for this cycle. But I think it's just going to ping pong back and forth. And if it does bleed value, which I think it will slowly do, it will take like years and not just like go anywhere fast, maybe decades, as other projects build up their market caps too. And this is a little bit adjacent, but I just thought it was hilarious because Bitcoin maximalists, they were so smug and sure during the last bear market that Bitcoin dominance was going to go, they said, above 90% and never come back down. I remember they said that, and they looked right. Like if you look at the trend was pointing that direction. It got to like the low 70s. I was like, dang, maybe they're right. And that really etched in me that feeling of like scared that altcoins are never going to come back, even though there's a lot of analysis why they would come back. But it turns out they're wrong. It came back so low, going lower, and we can just put that theory, rest in peace, Bitcoin maximalist theories about the dominance level.
Yeah, well, we know Ben loves that. Ben, let me hear your thoughts.
Sure, I love that. Yeah, I love that. But you know what Kevin's talking about there? I mean, it's basically just market psychology, because we were all feeling that way. Like, wow, maybe these altcoins are dead and maybe they're right. But, we believed in them for so long and we knew they would come back. You see the use case of Ethereum and smart contract platforms and the whole thing. But, what people have not been in this market for a long time. And by the way, when I say that, I don't say that from I'm talking over your head or we're better than you because we've been here longer. I just mean for those of us that were here and experienced 2017 versus the people who haven't, okay? When you were here during that time, no one imagined the Bitcoin dominance would fall in the 30s. It was unbelievable when that happened. I gave this number yesterday, but in one basically fatal swoop over a few months, Bitcoin dominance fell from 86% all the way down to 37%. Jeez. No one thought that was possible. And when you look at the all-time chart for Bitcoin, the all-time low before that was 78%. Okay? That was the all-time low at that point. To see it fall as far as it went down, and then it never bounced back up. It never got above, about the 70s again, the low 70s. When you look at that and you think about Bitcoin dominance versus the whole market and what this is going to look like, I think it would fit the trend for that number to drop lower than we've ever seen it before. So I think that 25% is about what we're looking at. I think it's going to plunge below 33%. The maxis are going to, all get together and have cry huddles and stuff like that. And, they're still going to come up and justify with why they think they're right and we're all wrong. And eventually they'll win and yada, 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 all the way down to 25% or lower. And then, of course, we know what will happen. Bear market will hit and then Bitcoin dominance will go back up and they'll say they were right again. But I think 25% is a number we're looking at, and I'm super excited about it. But if you think about, we talked about on the stream this morning, how we think maybe a $12 trillion market cap for the end of this cycle. Well, I mean, if you think about that, 25% of that is still a very high number. So still much higher than where Bitcoin is now, actually almost higher than the entire market, or no, much higher than the entire market cap right now. If it was 25% of 12 trillion. But that's the number I'm looking at. I think there's no reason to think that we're not going to see that fall further than it's been before.
Yeah, I think that was all great points from everybody here. That's about all we have time for today. It looks like the Blockchain Boy is our winner on the scoreboard. A lot of fans in the chat. So if you want to leave us with a parting thought real quick, 30 seconds to a minute, let us know what you think the people need to know.
Well, all I can say, guys, is don't fall for the hodl meme with these altcoins. That's how I learned the hard way in 2017. If you're going to hodl, make sure you're ready to hold for 80, 90% decreases. Ultimately, I think at the end of the day, we are here. We're experiencing the next, I guess, birth of the next stock market, greatest transfer of wealth that's ever going to happen in our lifetimes. As I like to say, we were born too late to explore the world, too early to explore the universe, but just in time to experience the rise of crypto. So make sure you take advantage of that. If you like TikTok, I know some of you may not be on there. I suspect this space will become very legitimate over the next year. And if you're ever looking for no BS crypto investing, come give me a holler at the Blockchain Boy on TikTok.
Yeah, and I wanted to say thanks for everybody for joining us today. We had a really good time. This format is great. Like he said, if you want to follow him on TikTok, go check him out, The Blockchain Boy. If you want some deep research, Token Metrics is great research firm. Check them out. And as always, Kevin at Bitcoin for Beginners. If you want to learn about investing and you're kind of new to this space, he's got some great content. Go check out his channel. If you guys like this format, please give us a like. And if you have questions you'd like to see our experts answer in the future, drop them down in the comments. We'll be reading through those, pulling the best questions, and working them into future episodes. That's all we have time for today. We'll see you back on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're out.